Frisbee friends, Jamie here from Girls Layout Ultimate to talk about some offensive strategy. Today's topic is the first in a three-part series on the horizontal stack, or hoe stack for short. This is a very common form of offensive strategy and is very beneficial to learn. There will be two general types of position, handlers, which there will be 3 of, and then upfield this way there will be 4 cutters. The reason it's called a horizontal stack is, shocker, they're lined up horizontally across the field. Typically they're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4 from left to right. Cutters number 1 and 4 are also called wings. Cutters 2 and 3 are also called middles. This type of configuration is very useful because it creates 3 types of open space for the offense. It creates an in space for the cutters here, an out space for the cutters here, and a handler space here. Today's topic is going to be mainly focused on the cutter movement and how that's going to look in different types of systems. Your cutters want to set up about 15 to 18 yards from the handlers, but they can be pulled into the space or out of the space and set up depending on a few different factors. This can be on-field players, wind conditions, or even how the defense is set up. Make sure to give your fellow cutters plenty of space to work with. You don't want to cluster together because you're just not opening up the field. You're giving the cutter adjacent to you no space to work with. So make sure you're giving each other enough space. Also, if you're one of the wings, which is once again cutters number 1 and 4, you don't want to set up right on the sideline because once again you're just limiting the space that you're going to have to work with. So make sure to give yourself enough space between each player and the sideline to work with in your cuts.
A storm blew in, so we had a bit of a scenery change, but we'll continue on with the lesson. For a more developed system of hoe stack, groups of cutters will work in sequence with each other in their cuts, often in pairs. There are many different systems that can be used for a more advanced form of the hoe stack, so this is a great chance to get creative and have a little fun with it. One example is having cutters 1 and 2 work as a pair on their half of the field, while 3 and 4 work as a pair on the other half. One very common type of cut to use in Ultimate is called a diamond cut. It's thus named because when you draw it out on the board, it looks like a diamond. Diamond cuts are very useful because they help create not only in space, out space, but they also create a bit of a lateral space that you can work in as well as a cutter. More often than not, the 2 cutters in the middle are going to communicate with each other and decide who's going to initiate their cuts where first. And then the other cutters are actually going to work off of that cut. So in this specific, what I've drawn up here, cutter number 2 is communicated with 3 that they're going to go in first. So 2 is going to cut in while 3 is going to cut out. And 1 is going to cut out while 2 cuts in. So they'll continue their diamond cuts while 3 and 4 on their half of the field complete their diamond cuts as well. You want to make sure if you're using the system that you stagger your cuts, otherwise you're going to end up with 2 cutters cutting into the same space at the same time. And as we discussed earlier, you really don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're not cutting off other players and that you're giving the handlers plenty of options of upfield throws. Okay, time for some quick quality tips, or I'm a nerd, so I like to call them Q-tips, so keep your ears open. 1, pay attention to where your teammates are cutting. You never want to cut into the same space as a teammate, or you just limit the options for the handlers to have a direct upfield throw. Remember, the purpose of a hoe stack is to create more options for handlers through spacing, timing, and really just knowing the capability of your other teammates. What do you do if you don't get the disc? So if you don't get the disc, you want to clear. All that means is leave the space you're currently occupying to provide your teammates with the next cut into that newly opened space. Make sure you have eye contact with the handler throughout the entire in cut, out cut, and even as you clear. The last thing you want to do, and I've had it happen to me before in a game, is look away, you think you're not getting the disc, and then the handler throws it to you and suddenly you're not in the right position to catch the disc and you have a turnover. So make sure you have that eye contact with the handler at all times. Now, what do you do if you do catch the disc? So if you do catch the disc, the first thing you want to do is look for an immediate upfield throw to another cutter. A continuation is going to be a great idea here to another cutter. So if you can time your cuts perfectly with them, you'll have a great continuation throw upfield and you'll gain more yards. Now, if you can't get a quick open throw within stall count 4 or 5, you want to start activating and engaging your handler. This is called a reset. So you want to get it back to a handler so the stall count resets. When I was a newer player, I used to turn my hips more towards the handler I wanted to engage. That was a quick, easy way for that handler to know you need to get open and I need to get you the disc. That's fine to start, but I do recommend learning to initiate a reset in a more standard way, using your shoulders, your eye contact, and maybe even a quick nod so that you aren't quite as predictable. This concludes part 1 of our 3-part series on horizontal stack. Parts 2 and 3 will be coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the Girls Layout Ultimate Facebook page to ensure you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching!